Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now lately, there have been a lot of rumors floating around that EA has begun production on Battlefront 3. Now while there is no way to confirm or deny these rumors, the topic of a Battlefront 3 is still very interesting and I think worth discussing. The first question that always comes to my mind when thinking of a possible Battlefront 3 is how would it manage to separate itself from the previous games in the franchise. Now there are many installments in the Battlefront franchise. There are 4 games in the main series, the original Battlefront 1 and 2, which came out in the mid-2000s, which I will be referring to in this video as the OG Battlefront 1 and 2. Then EA rebooted the series about 10 years later and made another Battlefront 1 and 2. I will be referring to these games as the EA Battlefront 1 and 2. There was even a couple spin-off Battlefront titles at some point, one of which was called Battlefront Elite Squadron. Needless to say, it would be quite difficult for a new Battlefront game to make itself stand out among all these others. So today, I will be discussing how EA can make this rumored Battlefront 3 stand out among all the other Battlefront games and be the best game in the series. Now, something that really bugs me about the EA Battlefront games up until this point is how they seem to leave the expanded universe of Star Wars largely ignored. Sure, they might add a trooper class skin or map here or there based on concepts from the expanded universe, but that's about it. The original Battlefront games had a similar problem. Other than a few heroes who were based on the 2003 Clone Wars miniseries, there isn't anything else from the expanded universe in those games. Now, well, I think these little pieces of expanded universe content are great. If Battlefront 3 is going to be the best game in the series, it has to fully embrace the expanded universe far beyond the games that came before. I want to see planets like Mandalore as large-scale maps. How cool would it be to play through game modes such as Supremacy on Mandalore? Also, all the great hero potential in the expanded universe is unparalleled. I talked about this a lot in one of my earlier videos, so I won't go too in-depth into it here, but I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that seeing characters such as Ahsoka, Cad Bane, Mando, Asajj Ventress, etc. as playable characters would blow my mind. The expanded universe has the most content out of any other Star Wars medium, and since we won't be getting any more movies in the Skywalker saga, EA has to use more of the expanded universe in Battlefront 3 if it is going to have more content than its predecessors. And I am not just talking about content from TV shows. Star Wars books and comics also have a lot of potential for in-game Battlefront content. Another way EA could expand upon the Battlefront formula in a future game is by fleshing out more obscure pieces of Star Wars lore. What I mean by that is EA should make content based on the little things in the Skywalker saga. The original Battlefront 2 did this and was praised for it. That game had Ayla Secura and Ki-Adi-Mundi as playable characters, for crying out loud. These things technically don't count as expanded universe content since you briefly see them in the Skywalker saga, and they don't have any features in the game that are based off of their appearances in the expanded universe as far as I am aware. But the thing is, the new games in the Battlefront franchise tend to stick to the things that are highlighted upon in the Skywalker saga and don't go any deeper than that. There are few characters or maps from the background of Star Wars, if any, in these games, which is a real shame because a Battlefront game would be the perfect format to flesh out those concepts. Battlefront games should definitely bring back some really obscure concepts from the background of the movies, since they would be vaguely recognizable to the player, but also would give EA a lot of freedom to do whatever they want with those characters or locations, since they weren't really used in the source material that much. Now, let's get into some more specific things we could expect to see in a new Battlefront game. Galactic Conquest is a game mode featured in the original 2 Battlefront games that saw the player going from planet to planet in in their space cruiser, taking over or defending iconic planets from the Star Wars galaxy. This game mode had a lot of little perks to it as well, like a currency system that was mainly featured in the second OG Battlefront that allowed the player to unlock bonuses, new reinforcements, or a new cruiser to defend or raid planets with. Now, Galactic Conquest is all but forgotten in the newer EA games, and I think you can tell where I am going with this. This game mode needs to be in Battlefront 3. I think I speak for all the Battlefront fans when I say that seeing this game mode in a new game with updated technology would be more than exciting. While EA's reasoning for cutting this game mode is mostly uncertain, I think it has something to do with the fact EA wants to make their games more focused on multiplayer-based content, and Galactic Conquest was more of a single-player experience. However, if EA wanted to get really creative, I am sure they could make Galactic Conquest have some sort of multiplayer features. Making the game mode with multiplayer concepts would likely involve some sort of private match features that would allow the player to play the game mode with a friend online, if that even counts as multiplayer. However, that does bring me to my next point. Even if EA doesn't utilize them in Galactic Conquest, EA should still have the ability to host private matches in some form. As far as I know, the only Battlefront game with private matches is EA's Battlefront 1, though they might be in some OG Battlefronts, but I wouldn't know for sure since all the online features from those games were removed due to them being so old, and none of my friends have those OG Battlefronts anyways, so I wouldn't even be able to play with them. Anyways, EA did apply private matches to their first Battlefront title from 2015, and everyone was happy. But the weird thing is, EA decided not to have private match features in their version of Battlefront 2. Private matches have become something of a given for gaming in recent years, so the decision not to add them to the rebooted Battlefront 2 was odd, to say the least. And this is exactly why it would be so cool to have this feature back in Battlefront 3. One final thing I would like to mention is customization. By far, EA's Battlefront 1 had the most customization out of any Battlefront installment. That game was filled to the brim with unique blaster types, star cards, and skins, all available for unlocking. However, EA's Battlefront 2 was severely lacking in customization when compared to its predecessor. Now, it wasn't all bad. Battlefront 2 still had a lot more star cards than Battlefront 1, and later updates would significantly increase the number of skins. Even though these customization features were indeed enjoyable, the game was still missing a lot of options Battlefront 1 had. For example, the amount of blasters Battlefront 2 had at launch was significantly less than its predecessor, and it never went up as far as I'm aware. It is my personal hope that Battlefront 3 will give us the best of both worlds, and to give us the most customization out of any previous game. I'm talking all the customization features from the last 15 years of Battlefront games. All of the blasters from Battlefront 1, all of the star cards from Battlefront 2, and hopefully a lot more. That is, if Battlefront 3 even comes out. But what would you like to see in Battlefront 3? Let me know in the comments, and I genuinely want to know what you have in mind so we can all start hyping up Battlefront 3 if EA ever announces it. But as I said in the beginning of the video, we only have rumors to go off of for now. But with that, I don't really think I have anything else left to say. I guess like and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you next time.